Why Smith over Toney for the top overall pick?
Yeah, well, just simply, I've had the opportunity to see Jeremiah Smith in person a couple of times, and when you have the opportunity to draft Julio Jones 2.0, you simply cannot let that go by the boards. The dominance, obviously Ohio State will be running roughshod over the Big Ten, and they actually have a tougher schedule this year than they usually do, which I like, because that means they're going to have to press in some of these games. They're going to have to press against Texas, in which Julian Sayin made his first start, and that was a uncharacteristically plotting affair last year between the two teams. I don't think that either of them are going to have that luxury. You're going to have to gas it up on both sides. So with Ohio State playing a more competitive schedule than they had in years past, and with Miami, they're going to be able to roll over the ACC pretty easily this year. It's not a matter of me not liking Malachi Toney. He's certainly a top 3 overall player in my estimation, but man, this will be our last time to get Jeremiah Smith. He's going pro after this year. You got to take it.
I mean, if you give me the options are Jeremiah Smith or Malachi Toney, my answer is just yes. Yes,
Exactly.
I'll take both. Before we get to more college fantasy football talk, I can't help but notice the chain around your neck. What are we sporting today?
Oh, well, I'm going to keep that until we get one of our later questions. Oh, yeah. Oh, I got a little something waiting. I'm just going to give a little preview. Just a little preview.
That is what we in the industry call a tease. So back to the college fantasy football. Let's head to the running back position. Ole Miss running back Kewan Lacy is your top running back on the board. Why? What separates him from the rest of the pack?
Well, the man got 306 carries last year, spanning their college football playoff run, and 256 in the regular season. He was the top bell cow in all of college football last season. And with Ahmad Hardy being compromised due to that gunshot wound he suffered in May, and Caleb Hawkins, pretty much the other top 3 running back, making the leap from North Texas up to Oklahoma State right here. There is some projection involved in what we're trying to see what Mr. Hawkins will do. So I just feel like Kewan Lacy, you got Trinidad Chambliss back. You know, you have JDB coming in from ECU. I think he keeps the train rolling on the offensive side for Ole Miss. And they're simply one of the most potent offenses in the country and the most projectable when it comes to volume. And that's what I expect Kewan Lacy to get. So he is the number 1 overall running back.
So, Eric, I think it's really important to our audience that we, Caroline and I, are transparent about this is new for us. She and I have covered a lot of college football, but playing fantasy college football is new for us. So, you know, we've been doing this coverage portion a very long time. Trying to figure out how that translates to fantasy is different. I noticed when we look at your list of top 20 rankings, we got 2 wide receivers in the top 2. After that, 17 straight running backs. Now, I'm pretty not smart, but you don't have to be smart to figure out that that's got to tell me something. What are you telling me by 17 straight running backs? How should that impact my draft strategy?
Well, first off, I respectfully disagree. I think you're all brains and beauty, Jason. Do not discount yourself here. Not in my watch. No, I'm not going to accept
humility.
That. But that humility. But the reason why is, you have 68 Power 4 teams, right? And in a Yahoo standard league, you're only starting 1 quarterback. So the Arch Mannings, the Trinidad Chamblisses, they're not going to have the same impact that it would in a super flex format. So those rankings that you're looking at are geared to a 1 QB system, and you have 68 teams to choose from those quarterbacks. With the running back side of thing, it's always the most valuable skill position, right? So with running backs, you're looking to get 20 points per game. That's sort of the benchmark you're trying to achieve. With wide receivers, it's 15. You're not going to see, you might see 1 or 2, Smith or Toney hit that 20 point per game mark, but it's very rare, especially in a half PPR format, which is the standard leagues. So what you're seeing is a parade of running backs throughout the first round and through pretty much the middle part of that second round before you start seeing a pivot to, an Arch maybe here and there, and, the Nick Marshes, the Cam Colemans, Jordan Dwyer, KJ Duff, Amari Thomas. That's the next sort of crop of wide receivers that are going in that range. So it's extremely important. You get to start 4 flex players. You're going to want every one of those flex positions, if you can, to be a running back because of the aforementioned 20-point ceiling as opposed to like the 15-point ceiling for wide receivers. So get your running backs early. You don't want to be relying on running backs that are down the board for less than effective teams. You're starting a guy from Purdue, that sort of thing. It's going to have real startability issues. How confident are you going to feel about, starting Abu Sama for Wisconsin against Notre Dame's defense? Personally, not pretty good. Not good at all. So you want to be taking the running backs who already have a projected role, dominant role on the better teams who are typically going to be able to run over their conference opponents.
I'm going to help everybody with the real question then out of this. If we're doing a snake draft on a 10-team league, which is kind of the average that we usually look at, if I'm sitting there with Malachi or Jeremiah with the first overall pick, it means I'm not going to get another pick until we hit around 20. Is there a running back that you really like that's going to be, in your mind, available in a lot of these boards in that 20 to 25 range for everybody that's snake drafting that thinks they hit a home run, but then they get to 20 and they're like, oh my God, I'm screwed?
Yeah, definitely. You're going to want to make sure that you're taking a look at one. If Aeneas Williams is there, again, we talked about on Notre Dame. If you can get him in that second half of the first round, I think that's an absolute smash play. But if I'm going beyond that third round turn, Duke Scott, NC State. I mean, he's a Feldman's freak lister. Hollywood Smothers was the starting running back for the Wolfpack last year. He moves on to Texas. It's all Duke Scott. He put on, 12, 13 pounds in the offseason, weighing 223 with a reported 4.35 40. Woo! Certifiably Ric Flair numbers right there. Give me Duke Scott if I can get him in that early third.
Duke Scott and Hollywood Smothers, not just great running backs, but first team, all name team in college football running backs as well. You mentioned Arch Manning a couple of times. This is not just for the college fantasy fans out there, but also for myself as we look ahead to our college fantasy draft on Sunday. So don't sabotage me just because we're in the same league. When is the sweet spot to draft a quarterback, and who would be, outside of Arch, some other names to keep an eye on?
Yeah, it's a great question because, as we mentioned, if you're in a 1 QB league, I'm going to recommend that you wait as long as you possibly can. Sure, I like Arch just as much as anybody else. He is my number 1 overall quarterback. It's hard to imagine that Death Star, Texas, with Sark's been waiting for this potent offense to come for his entire Texas tenure. He's been waiting for this, and I think he's going to go and inflict as much punishment as he possibly can on the SEC, with Arch leading the charge. And he runs, you got to remember. And that's extremely important for the quarterback position, is getting somebody who has dual threat capabilities. The point being, of the 64 Power 4 quarterbacks last year to throw 200-plus passes, 33 of them ran for less than 200 yards. Those 33 quarterbacks averaged 15.9 points per game. Of the 19 quarterbacks who ran for 400-plus yards, they averaged 22.5 points per game. It's a massive chasm. And for that reason, you have to be fading any sort of pro-style quarterbacks. And it doesn't make me happy because, showtime, I have right here with me a Dante Moore autograph, 1 of 50, gold, Bowman University chrome. I bought this for $25, probably going for around $500 in mint condition right now. I love Dante Moore, but I'm not drafting him in fantasy because he doesn't run the ball. If you don't run the ball, chances are you're not going to reach at least the 20-point per game mark, and you need to be around 25 to be at the upper echelon of the QB position. You simply can't overinvest in pro-style quarterbacks. That goes for Sayan, goes for Dante Moore, that goes for Josh Hoover. You just don't have the upside. So I'm waiting for more dual threat components in my quarterbacks later. Maybe you get a Kamario Taylor. But I think that if I'm going for a quarterback who's going in right around the double-digit rounds, it's Kewan Russell for Alabama. He's been depressed, his value, all season because the potential Austin Mack, coming in to take that job, it was never a reality. It is Kewan Russell's job. He is a smoking value outside the top 20 right now. He's being selected.
All right, so before we get you out of here, one quirk in college fantasy that a lot of people may not realize is you can draft an offense. I love this feature. It's great. I think in a lot of ways it makes the game less intimidating for people that may not feel great about all of it. So what's the right strategy for drafting an offense for all the newbies?
Sure. It's very clear in terms of the way that we score the offense position. It's dominant teams who lord over the rest of their conference, essentially. So SEC teams aren't as effective as you're going to see for like the Texas Techs, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon, Miami, the alpha dogs of their particular conferences. And that is, frankly, number one, Notre Dame. We talk about it again. Look at that schedule. At some point, somebody has to have a conversation with Kurt Bavagua and say, what is happening? We need to get a little bit more talent here that you're playing against, because otherwise they're going to be in the same position they were last year, right? If you go and dump 2 games with that schedule, now all of a sudden you're on a 12-team bubble for playoff purposes. So that's not so great for their overall resume building, but they're going to run through that pseudo ACC schedule with the light. Notre Dame has to schedule better. You know what I mean? So they are just so much better than the rest of the competition. I think that's the way you got to be looking at Notre Dame.
It is great stuff from you. As always, we are scared to death because you are playing in our Yahoo Sports Daily League. I cannot imagine.
We're set
Just
up
be
to
gentle.
fail.
That's all I ask. That is all I ask. Just be gentle. Everybody, don't forget, drafts are open now. So scoring starts with week 1, which is September 3rd. Week 0 not included. Week 1 is when the scoring starts on September 3rd. You can create a league with your crew, join a public league, play against other fans. If you're intimidated at all, fear not. The app will truly help you. Plus, you can look at Yahoo Fantasy Plus and Fantasy Ultra as ways to help you get through it.